Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host, Matt Marrero, along with your other host,
Anthony Sinandris.
And we were a little bit absent the last week. I think not 2 weeks, though. It's only been 1 week, right, that we didn't do our Friday Night Movies podcast?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So, but here we are, right, picking it up with the sequel to Batman, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What?
Yeah.
Batman Begins is the one that we did, not Batman in 1989. But yeah, so we did Batman Begins, and we thought, man, let's just keep up this trend. So, I mean, to be fair, they did have a recent crossover in the comics.
Yeah.
I don't know what Batman, and I don't know what Ninja Turtles. All I know is, I believe it's Batman, like New 52, and Ninja Turtles original. Either way,
correct.
I've heard great things.
Yeah.
So I'll have to check that out, and maybe we could even talk about it sometime. But right now, right, we're talking about the Ninja Turtles from the 1990s, right? So this is the first live-action adaptation, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, 1990. We're not talking about the Michael Bay one just yet. We're going to work our way up to that. Nor are we talking about The Next Mutation, which was the television show.
Oh.
I don't know if have you ever seen that one?
Great things ahead, guys. Great things.
Yeah, I've never seen it, but I did see their crossover with Power Rangers, which was more phenomenal. It was. I want to combine like shell puns and Power Rangers puns, but I just can't. It's just my brain's hurting. That happened.
I'm just really glad. I'm just glad you set the tone for the next hour so far.
Mhm. So I have a question. So how do you,
Sure.
before we get into the plot, as we usually do, how do you feel about this movie, either as an adaptation or just in general?
I just love the movie. It's been so long since I actually watched it, so when you told me, like, we're going to do Ninja Turtles next, I was like, thank God. Because we kind of went from Man of Steel, which is dark, unnaturally dark. Then we went to Batman Begins, naturally dark. And now we're finally taking a palate cleanser and going Ninja Turtles. It's just fun. And I love it so
Ninja,
much.
go Ninja, go! Not yet. We're not there yet. That's the third one, right?
I think so.
Good God.
What's
yeah,
it?
Vanilla Ice graced us
Yeah.
with his fucking presence. You know what's funny? Everyone's sitting back going, holy shit, Vanilla Ice existed. Like, everyone just like everyone's kind of sitting there like the fucking, what was it, the Ark of the Covenant? Like, just fucking like, oh my God.
No, it did the same thing to me. I'm like, wait, I'm on air. I have to keep going.
Yeah, no, it's just, either that or like fucking Pulp Fiction when they opened up the briefcase. Just fucking gold, except that it's fucking, it's silvery because it's ice. So it's just, Vanilla Ice. But yeah, so anyway, to this movie though, I loved it. I think it's funny. I want to say it's the best Ninja Turtles adaptation. Mind you, I've only seen this in terms of adaptations that aren't the animated series, right? I've only seen the 80s animated series and 2003 as well. Haven't seen much of the newer one. But my point is that when it comes to live-action adaptations, I've only seen this and the sequel, which we'll be doing eventually as well. So I don't have much to go on because I haven't seen the new one with Michael Bay, right? I've heard mixed things about it. And I know some plot lines, but I haven't seen it. So I can't sit there and go, man, that was so bad. I don't know yet. Now, we'll probably get to it, and it'll be horrifying, but I don't know just yet, right? I can't comment just yet.
Having seen it, I can pretty much just tell you, they got the Turtles' personalities right. Everything else just fell down around it.
Okay, great. So we'll watch the collapse of the Turtle Empire.
Yeah.
A little bit later. But right now, we're talking about the 90s one and the first one, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's the best adaptation. I mean, look, of course, you're going to have some differences here and there in how the Turtles are portrayed because they're going to be a little bit more like the 80s animated series than they would be their comic book counterparts. But there was some stuff they got right story-wise, some stuff I don't know if you know about because I know you haven't really delved into the comics.
No.
I've tried to actually, get some background on this, also because the comic started in the 80s, so I think it was a nice little, it's a lot harder to say, I want to, we're going to watch, let's say, the Michael Bay Transformers film. The first one. I want to read Transformers comics. It's like, well, not just continuities and stuff like that, just the idea that it started in the 80s, Michael Bay's film came out in the mid-2000s, good luck, Matt.
Pretty much.
You know, but when it comes to Ninja Turtles, the 90s, you know, Ninja Turtles blew up really fast. Like, people don't realize how fast it blew up. Like, literally, it was just two guys who didn't have a lot of money, borrowing money from people, going, hey, let's see if this thing works. And then it just fucking worked.
Yeah.
People loved it. Hell, even critics that were like, man, we love this first issue, but we don't really know if it has much shelf life.
Mhm.
You know, and it's just like, it clearly did.
Definitely.
It clearly fucking did. But, I mean, hell, this movie is actually categorized as an independent film.
Is it really?
Because of the fact that no one wanted to pick it up. The only people that decided, let's pick up this movie and see if it'll work for us, was a company you might know as New Line Cinema.
Jesus.
I'm going to say this much. I'm not going to say this put it on the map, because New Line also made, Nightmare on Elm Street, obviously. But, you know, it helped it, right? The money that this brought in definitely helped. I'm going to look up right now, because I know I always have these stats up. But before I do, they adapted them pretty well. I mean, the Casey Jones thing was basically, obviously Casey Jones himself is out of the comic books, Adoy, but the actual scene itself was right out of the comic books, because they had something called micro-series at one point, so they would just take an issue to focus on each one of the turtles individually, which was good, because in the comics, I didn't realize this, they all had the same color headband.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really fucking rough. We want to know who the fuck is who. Right?
Just look for the weapons, kids. It'll tell you.
No, but that's the problem, because when they're unsheathed, or when they're not out, it's just like, motherfucker. So literally, it's just like, all I have to go is by clues of just, hey this, hey that, hey Donatello. Okay, he's talking to Donatello. That I know.
So there's 3 left he could possibly be.
Yeah, basically. But still great comic book. I would definitely suggest to check it out. Heck, in the first issue, they kill Shredder. So
Spoiler
that's
alert.
really... What, motherfucker, right? Shredder has never been taken down ever. But no, what I find interesting, though, is that they expanded that, added in some other stuff from, the animated show, as well as some other of the comic books. Because, of course, while the animated show in the 80s, many people say that it's, frustrating that the actors, who are amazing comedians as well, went off the books, like just went off the script and just completely, did their own thing with it. At the same time, though, the plots were kept very similar. Baxter Stockman with his, his Mousers, those were in the comics as well. Baxter Stockman was African American, but still, those were in the comics as well. Krang was somewhat in the comics, at least where I am. It's a long story. But they just, adapted some of that for, the animated show. And mine is Krang, right? Though I would have laughed so hard if Tatsu was really Krang. Like, how fucking great would it just fucking takes off the shirt? Just, who are you? Wow, Shredder! Like, that would have been fucking great. I would have fucking so happy. I would have been like, look, this is great stuff for the sequel. But anyway, so looking at the budget, by the way, the budget for this film was $13.5 million. The box office revenue was $201.9 million.
Jesus.
It did well.
Yeah.
It did well. Also, by the way, love the suits, love the costumes a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, as much as I do enjoy some CGI every once in a while, when it comes to movies like this, I really do enjoy the idea of practical effects, or really just suits like this. I'm a fan of Super Sentai, which became Power Rangers in America, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, Godzilla, so I'm a huge fan of rubber suits, right? Also, by the way, these were made by Jim Henson.
Yes.
So, that's definitely something you also need to mention as well. I mean, these weren't cheap suits. Not that cheap suits would be bad, because, again, I'm a fan of, let me reiterate. But they were made by Henson and his workshop, and it was just, they were done so well. I think the only time I saw issues with the suit was, and I don't know why they didn't pick this up and change the angles or something like that, is when they were at the barn, right? Or rather, just that house. And you may have noticed it. during the daytime and right around, like right before they were going to all meditate together.
Mm-hmm.
There was issues, in my opinion anyway, where you can see, obviously there's a head because it's attachable, it's detachable.
Yeah.
There's the head, and then there's the differences between the neck and the head and everything, But minus that one scene, I think because they really stuck to darker areas, which is really what they just should have done for the entire film. By doing that, you really, got rid of, and also potential, like, different camera angles. You really made the suits look amazing. Like, they really were Ninja Turtles just walking around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes. But also, I mean, the actors at the time, we had Corey Feldman as Donatello.
Mm.
And we had a lot of other, interesting actors just kind of around, I guess. But, we'll talk about that a little bit later. So looking at my notes, though, and by the way, you're a fan of the 80s cartoon, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
Okay. So do you think that they did that justice? Because that's, that's what you're coming from here. So you think they did that justice in this film? Okay.
Absolutely. So.
Yes. The one thing I want to... Oh, of course, huge fan of the Splinter costume.
Yes.
A lot. Splinter and Shredder. Just, great job all around. And heck, making Shredder Asian, I think, was an amazing thing for them to do. Now, I love James Avery. It's James Avery, right?
Yes.
From Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. The dad from Fresh Prince, if anyone doesn't know, actually voiced over Shredder in the original 80s cartoon. It happened. And he did such a wonderful job. It would have been very, nice to have seen him reprise his role again, if he was still with us. But so he did the voice when he was, like animated. Because animated, you can get away with a lot of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once it comes to, I'm not saying we would have had James Avery as, as Shredder, but it still was nice that they actually had someone who was Asian instead of, oh, man, let's try to make a white guy, Shredder.
Yeah.
Since there are a lot of cultural problems with that. Now, yeah, right. Now, to be fair, I understand people's concern because it's always a concern with a movie like this. Same thing with Iron Fist, right, that's coming out, and even Doctor Strange, right? There's always a concern because the concern is, do you make the character Asian, but he's kung fu, or something that's very stereotypical, quote unquote, that doesn't actually represent the entirety of, like Japanese people or Chinese or Korean or Taiwan, or you don't make him Asian, but then it's whitewashing, and it's straight out whitewashing, So there's always, this is a movie that I don't even know how they actually even did or are doing the last two. Like, it's so interesting to think that they're able to do the last two in today's climate because again, you either do it, but it does come off looking racist because the Japanese guy knows kung fu and this and this and this, or you do the reverse and then you really are whitewashing, and I'm not a big fan of that. Right? So that's very hard. This movie, though, it came out at a time when they could have some really offensive jokes that I'm sure you kind of noticed that didn't, did you notice any of those, or?
Not particularly, no.
Well, two. First off, technically this wasn't a joke necessarily, but the way they got a white guy, and it was a white guy, to be one of the Foot Clan members. Now, I'm not saying you can't put on the suit because anyone can put on the suit because they were training like teenagers, right? But I mean the idea that it wasn't like, I deliver a message, Miss O'Neill, right? It was more like, I deliver a message, Miss O'Neill. And I was like, oh, God, no.
I actually didn't even catch that.
Yeah, because, if you didn't pick up on it, basically it's like the whole, Wanda voodoo. That's kind of what he did. It was like, ah. Yeah. And then, of course, a little bit later, and I did chuckle at this line, but still, the Sony line.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, yeah, if anyone doesn't realize, Sony is a Japanese company, and the Foot Clan are a Japanese ninja. So it was just it can come out of Casey's mouth, because I think Casey as a character is meant to be this, you're an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
But with with April, it's a bit different. So it came off as like, ooh, that's a weird joke.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, God, that kid who steals. Well, it's Danny. It's Dan now, right? Yeah. He was so interesting, I think. But his dad was such a bad dad. So it's kind of it's interesting on both ways because like it's like yeah, the kid shouldn't have stolen, but man, is his dad shitty.
Mhm.
And it's also April's boss, which is even worse because I think in the here's something funny, right? So she's she's a reporter in the movie as well as the animated series, not a reporter in the comic books.
Yeah.
Yeah, so little things like that I understand some people might go, oh, man, they took this instead of this. But, I mentioned to you guys earlier about the Casey scene. I was saying earlier how they had the micro-series. One of them had Raphael going out on his own, and I believe he went out because at the time Splinter was gone, right, because the Mousers captured him or something like that. The Mousers destroyed their kind of like little base, and Splinter was gone for some reason or another. Don't want to spoil. That'll be a spoiler. And so, Raphael's like, yeah, I'm going out. And he goes out, and then he sees this random dude in a hockey mask trying to beat up a mugger to the point where it's like, yeah, I'm basically going to kill you. And he's like, hey, hold on, guy. And then they get into a fight. So I was very excited to see this here because it's literally ripped right out of the comic books.
Yeah.
So, I was actually really happy about that because while there are little things here and there that show like, oh, they did this, they did that stinks, but they clearly cared, or at least there was a draft that cared.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a draft where someone actually read the comics and was like, okay, yeah, let's do this like this. Because I admit I didn't see the entirety of the 80s animated series because when I was a kid I had all these VHS tapes but didn't have the entire series out. I don't know how Casey appeared in the show, but I'm pretty sure that by 1990 Casey hadn't appeared yet in the animated series. Yeah.
Not yet.
So, no, not yet. So I think it was, so in other words, it's a thing where, some stuff from the animated, sure, but a decent amount from the comics. And I think that's a really nice feel for people who, were reading the comics at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the Turtles, all jokesters, right? All messing around, so, to a point where even though I love it, I can understand if some find it a little bit, a little bit too much. Because even then, I personally feel like, well, the Ninja Turtles should joke. I feel like Mikey should be the one that's an ass about it.
Mm-hmm.
Where in a way, it felt like everyone was like had the ability to be an ass about it, minus Raphael.
Yeah.
Another thing too, I would say that this. And it might sound crazy to some because this is just an adaptation, but, because of how early it was in the Ninja Turtles history as a franchise, this is where they really established Raphael being the loner.
Mm.
Now, I know, some might want to crucify me because the comics had him go out on his own a lot as well, but this attitude, I mean, think about it, right? In the comics, if you read them, early on, they were all ninja assassins.
Yeah.
Raphael had a little bit of a tude compared to the rest of them, and Mikey was a little bit of, I would say Mikey was more of the jokester in the comic. So if someone's cracking a joke, I'm like, that's probably Mikey. But when it comes to Raphael, they were all like, all right, there was no kick some shell. I actually laughed so hard because I was reading, they were fighting something or other. I think it might have been Foot Clan. And I was reading the comic and I laughed so hard because the dialogue bubble was like, all right, guys, let's kick some ass. I was like, right, not shell, original. I was like, right. No, because it's great. Because the animated show, it's like, let's kick some shell, guys. And here it's like, kick some ass. I was like, oh yes, we're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. Yeah, but so I definitely suggest you read the comics if you can because they're a lot of fun.
After this, I intend to.
Good. You're gonna kick some ass. How did you feel about Casey, by the way? So did you know much about Casey before you saw him in this movie?
No, actually. It's funny because I never knew much about Casey at all. I just
the name, right?
Yeah, I was always like, this guy looks so cool. He's got like a hockey mask. He has all these weapons. He looks awesome. So all I really knew about it was the name and the look. So going on just this movie alone, I actually like Casey a lot.
Yes. He has his moments, and we'll talk about that as we go on, but he definitely is a bit more likable than not, depending.
Mm-hmm.
Depending. Oh, by the way, I love April's attitude as well because it's nice to see her not be a damsel in distress. Like, yes, she's not a ninja, so that obviously puts her at a disadvantage compared to all of the fucking ninja. Like, obviously, what's the movie about? Ninja. But at the same time, in no way is she ever like, oh no, please save me. And I think that's a great role model. Like, even though she's obviously out of her depth, in no way is it like, oh, I can't do this on, like, you know, I can't do this on my own. Like, if she had to, right? Now, I know, you know, you might say, oh, but there was that moment when they were in her apartment and she was, you know, cowered in a corner. She was taking care of Raphael. Like, she was there holding him like, oh, good God, is he okay? Not, oh, no, right, and scared. No, it was like, oh, good God, you know, Raphael's here. And, you know, and she obviously knew them a bit better at that point. So it's like, I'm holding him, like, you know, getting him away from this fight, in a way like protecting him the way any of the turtles would have if they could have, but, you know, they were kind of fighting ninja. So it was, like, I think I really liked her character in this film. How do you feel about it?
I liked it a lot, actually, especially before I actually saw this one again, I hadn't seen this one in years until now, so the last Ninja Turtles thing I had seen was actually the 2014 version, so I'm really grateful to see April in this one again. But I thought she was really well done in the movie. I don't remember too much from the 80s cartoon, but I think they actually gave her better treatment in the movie than the cartoon.
In the cartoon, I do think she she still had an attitude. Like, she fainted when she first saw the turtles, but she fainted here too. You know, it's interesting. I do think that some scenes from this film were ripped from the, you know, the cartoon, but again, also from the comics, because again, the animated cartoon did take some stuff from the comics as well. And again, from what I've heard, even the 2014 version ripped some stuff from the, from the, if not the comics, from the actual like first episode of the animated show. So. It's strange to think about, right? But I haven't seen it yet myself, so again, don't want to say that it was bad or if it was terrible, or if it was shit. So anyway, look at those words Matt picked. So anyway, so Raphael, like, or at least Raphael yelling. Now, I want to talk about Raphael yelling because I think it's something we need to talk about here. A lot of, in my opinion, there is pretty much nothing that cannot translate to the big screen from comics. I mean, literally, if you present it the right way, and if it's just crazy enough, but if the audience is crazy enough, as if you're targeting the right crazy audience, anything can fit, in my opinion. Somehow Raphael's yelling did not. Now, my question to you is, do you think it was the actor? Like, because I don't want to blame the actor, but my thing is, do you think maybe him, I don't know, because like I'm talking about the voice that he put on. Maybe it was the voice, you know, or was it the voice and the camera shot, cinematography? Because I'm wondering if it's just a mix of column A and column B, but I want your take on it.
This sounds like such like the kind of like the political answer, but I think it was kind of a mix of everything, really.
Just everything involved, like just the way they zoomed in, how they, you know, worked, how he was there. Because mind you, I like the idea of like the whole like, because I think at one point when he yelled, he was on the roof, I believe. Yeah, he was on the roof. So like it visually, right, drawn out, that would have looked amazing. Just Splinter! Right?
Exactly.
But just the way, I think that at least was the actor's voice and everything. Because I think the worst one out of the two was the first one. Because of just the way they zoomed in and everything, or zoomed out, rather. Just the zooming. No zooming. I can't remember which way they zoomed. Just none of it. It was just, I don't think it was done well, and it kind of made me go, Like, just, mind you, out of a movie that both Splinter, you know what's interesting? Splinter, Shredder, and the Turtles all had their origin from the comics, which is interesting because in the animated show, I believe they changed up the origin, from what I remember, where in the animated show, what happened was Splinter wasn't the rat at first, right? He was the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Splinter was the guy right, in the show, which is so strange because you would think animated, you would think they would make him a mouse there or a rat there, but no, in the animated show, he was the guy that, Shredder tried to fool their master into thinking like, oh, he's not trying to bow for you, and that's disrespectful, and so he was banished, and after being banished, then, it's like, what happened? Well, the same toxin that the turtles got mixed up with, whatever radiation also hit him, and then he became a rat. You dirty rat. And he became a rat. So that's how it happened, right? Where in the comics, a much more rational answer was given.
Mm-hmm.
Much more. I love it so much, though, because, again, it's like you guys did it. Like, you guys had the guts to actually say, look, man, a fucking rat saw his master practicing kung fu. Motherfucker learned kung fu. What other fucking answer do you need? Like, he learned kung fu, okay, and then what happened after he learned kung fu? I really don't know. He tried to jump up and slice the guy who killed his master. Does that make sense? He fucking knew kung fu. Right, forgot about that. Like, I love it. And then, he was obviously like, it was so, I think one of the saddest parts of the movie was like when fucking Shredder sliced Splinter, like with the sword. I was like, no!
Mm-hmm.
It's like, he lives. I know, but it was sad. But yeah, so that happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think he was also, again, he hit the same, like he was hit with the same radiation that the turtles were, and then they all grew, from there. Yeah, but I think it was just so interesting that they kept that, because again, I sound like a broken record, but for anyone saying, oh man, that damn 80s cartoon got in the way because of all their comedy. It's like, well, yes, but their origins are pretty much untouched, and that's amazing. Yeah. Like, frankly, in any adaptation of a superhero franchise or any kind of comic book franchise, an untouched origin is just like, what the fuck? Like, that's... Yeah. I don't even know how to describe that as like a food or a drink or any kind of beverage. It's just fucking amazing. It's perfection. It's nirvana. To actually have an origin story that wasn't tampered with in some way or another. The only difference is that we didn't see the little kid. I'll say that much then. We didn't see the little kid. So sorry. I'm so sorry, Matt Murdock. You know the talk about that, right? You've heard that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if anyone doesn't know, there's a lot of talk about the kid that owned the Turtles being Matt Murdock, or at least it being a parody of Daredevil because of the fact that when the kid – well, it's not like the kid was blind and that's why he tripped. No. It's the idea that, the kid was hit with radioactive, stuff in his eyes, which in turn – or at least some kind of like acidy, whatever, that gave him his superpowers to become Daredevil, right? And he fights a ninja clan known as the Hand.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at the Ninja Turtles, and obviously their radiation, whatever it was, turned them into Ninja Turtles. Like, what the hell happened afterwards? Well, they became the Ninja Turtles, and it's pretty fucking self-explanatory. And they fight the Foot. So it's it is interesting to see those parallels. So I sat there and I was like, oh, by the way, want to mention something about where is Splinter? I had Splinter here. Damn it, I had you, Splinter. Where are you? Damn it. Oh, yes, Kevin Clash, who was Splinter. So, do you know who Kevin Clash is?
No.
Well, Kevin Clash. First off, by the way, I'm pretty sure he did the voice for Splinter as well, from the looks of it, which usually happens when puppeteers, because he's a puppeteer, right? Mm-hmm. So, that was interesting. However, he's the voice of Elmo. Do you remember what happened to the guy that was the voice of Elmo?
No.
Oh, well, one of the voices of Elmo. Well, he's gay, and there's nothing wrong with being gay. Mm-hmm. There's literally nothing wrong with being... look, if you believe that, okay, we don't think there's anything wrong with being gay. There is a problem with, regardless if you're gay or not, with being with a 16-year-old boy, teenager.
Yeah.
So you heard about this?
Actually, no. You said there's a problem. I'm like, yeah, there is, but.
Well, now you know. So if you hear Elmo.
Then.
So if you hear Elmo and any maybe New Sesame Street HBO adaptations, and you're like, oh, that sounds a little bit different, because it's not Kevin Clash. It's not the Elmo you grew up with. But yeah, so that's life right now. Right? So that happened.
My Friday night is so happy now. Thank you, Matt.
Yes. Well, if it makes you feel any better, I was half right and half wrong about Shredder. James Saito was Shredder, right? Mm. But apparently somebody else voiced him over, named David McCharron, who apparently doesn't even have a Wikipedia page.
Well then.
Yes. So I feel bad because I feel like I'm half and half. Like, yay, they weren't, they didn't whitewash. Well, they white voiced. Like, damn. They white detergent. Like, it's some kind of fucking horrible kind of just word to describe. Like, hey, they still didn't trust Asian actors. It was frustrating. But well. Anyway, we'll talk about some other stuff. Once we actually get to the whole like the base and everything. Oh yeah, seeing the turtles go ninja in April's apartment, I think was one of the best parts of the movie.
Oh, definitely.
I was a huge fan of that because it happens in the comics, obviously. We get to see it in the show as well, but I think it's just a nice thing to see because, a lot of the times you just see them fighting. Now, see them fighting with their equipment, so obviously, they're ninja. But the idea of being a ninja is about stealth, So, so I love, let's say, you look at a show like Naruto, right? Naruto, some of their fights are great, right? Sometimes, even later on in the show, they get very much like Dragon Ball Z with their blasts and everything. But at certain points, they do lose the idea of stealth. Now, granted, because they're also such great ninjas, they know where the fuck they're coming from, right? Mm-hmm. But still, they lose the ability to have their stealth. And unless there's a huge war going on or something that they need to prep for, they're trying to strategize for. Really, it's not about stealth in their Naruto worlds. It's basically at one point or another. It's mostly about we're going to fight each other. So same thing with Ninja Turtles, of course, because it's very hard to keep a franchise going when they're constantly making plans on attack rather than attacking.
Yeah.
But still, so it was really nice, I think, just seeing them just go ninja, where it's you kind of see Danny just, did I see it? No, you did not. It's really, really funny. And it was a lot of fun to see. So I really enjoyed that part. But I want to talk to you about, okay. So did they do a scene in the new movie with them in April's apartment doing impressions of celebrities?
No, they did something somewhat similar though.
Okay, good, because that's what I actually wanted to see updated. Because strangely enough, I don't know, looking at their impressions. Because think about it, the movie came out in the '90s. They are 15, so let's pretending they're 15, right? So they had been living for what is it? So since 1975 to 1990, pretending that it happened exactly, 1990. So they've been living 15 years. They have that small little TV, so they're watching old school movies that if I talk to my kids about them today, my kids being my students, they would be so confused. Mm-hmm. Right? Bogard.
Yeah,
what?
They don't do celebrities in the new one. It's not celebrities. It's actually superheroes.
Okay, I mean, the right genre, obviously. You hit the right place. But still, I think it would have been very interesting to see the last 15 years of pop culture, because again, they have I assume they have a TV in their base. I don't know anything. I really don't know how it looks or anything like that. But I'm assuming they watch the world through television the same way that the Ninja Turtles do as well.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, I think it was so interesting to have them do these impressions because you're wow, yeah, this is from a very long time ago. But, so by the way, so that kid hangout, how would you describe it?
That is an interesting question.
Visually, just what do I...
It was interesting.
Okay, because
I'm going to go with interesting.
Okay, because I have a description written right here, but I do want to bring up one that just popped in my head. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, no. But I think I have a better one. The base is like the 90s had sex with the 90s and gave birth to the most 90s thing ever.
Yep.
Like, I saw that, and I was just like, when they first went into the base, and they're just like fucking the arcades and everything, I'm like, wow, from 1 to 90s. Like, dear fucking God. And it's funny, because it's like, mind you, yes, this movie was filmed in 1988, okay, I was outed, I know. But I'm sorry, man. This is fucking 90s as fuck. Like, I know there has to be a difference between 90s and 80s styles, but just something about this just reeked of the 90s to me.
Mhm.
Now, I know in some ways it looked more like glam rock than anything, but just, I don't know, just like some of, like, you see it though, right? Like, you're looking at this and you're like, yeah, it's the 90s.
No, it's definitely, you can see it.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, love Teen Fight Club.
Mhm.
Not sure which one is Tyler Dirt. Might be Danny.
I was actually going to say I think it's Danny, but
it's really, I think I think it was really, what's it called? It was very, God, what's the word I'm looking for? It was controversial, I think, at the time when we learned that Splinter was actually just part of Danny's imagination.
Mhm.
I think that was very, like when they showed those clips of him talking to Splinter, but Splinter wasn't even there. It was so interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
Such an asshole. So Tatsu. By the way, so Tatsu, right? Tatsu being the random second in command guy that wasn't in the comics. No, seriously, they were just like
really not.
He was not, unless he appeared later, and I apologize. But from what I remember, I've read maybe about like 10, 11 issues thus far.
Mhm.
Nothing.
Jesus.
So it's just really funny. It's just like, we can't just put in one Asian guy. That's going to seem racist if he's just a token Asian guy. What if we put in two? This is why we fucking give you the big bucks, John. All right, give me two Asian guys. Like, it's just like, literally, like, just some fucking studio executive just, thank you. Like, just, okay. So we got two Asian guys. We have Tatsu. And by the way, Tatsu, holding back harder than he ever has when that kid ran into him. Literally, that kid running into him, Tatsu's like, I could break him in 10 to 20 different ways, but I will let him live. His parents will be proud. Like, seriously, you saw the look on his face. He was like, go play.
Oh,
and it was like, oh, good God. Oh, man, just that look on his face. Speaking of Tatsu, by the way, I want to see, yes. So here's something interesting. Tatsu was dubbed over by an American actor as well. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Because Shredder, I didn't notice. I actually thought it was the Asian actor for Shredder because he had the mask on. Tatsu, he was dubbed over by an American actor. But what's interesting is that when he got, like, you saw when he got really pissed and he just went crazy on those kids, right? Like, he was just, beating the shit out of, when he said, Kuso, right? I didn't do it justice. The point was, that was his original actor.
Mhm.
Because if you notice throughout the entire film, right, whenever he speaks, like, of course the Japanese actor spoke, but I guess they just muted those lines and put over, okay, Shredder, yes, sir, Shredder, right? But when he actually got really pissed, it wasn't just because he whispered. It was because of the fact that when you don't dub something over, right, the original audio is going to sound a lot different than the dub, obviously. So it not being dubbed over by the original English actor, when he said kuso, which, by the way, means shit in Japanese, or crap, he said it, and it was just pronounced so well. I was like, oh, that's the Japanese actor. And then when he was really pissed at them and he was just, like, screaming, you could tell that was the Japanese actor, not an American actor, because I hate to sound like a jerk. You know, I feel like it would be a lot more like, whoa, whoa, like, no, it was more like when you have these Bruce Lee films, right, where, it's being dubbed over, and it's like, all right, I will fight you. And then when it gets back to the actual audio, it's like, I will fight you. Actual audio, like, you're like, I don't think an American was in a booth doing that. That's Bruce Lee, right?
Yeah.
Similar here, where the way he was like, hoo-ah, hoo-ah, I was sitting there going, yeah, that's a Japanese guy. There's no American in a booth doing that. It was very interesting to see, I think, because it was obviously like a complete, departure from them just dubbing him over. And also, I think them potentially not realizing, I mean, I'm sure, depending on who saw this movie or who was working on it at the time, they knew that Kuso had to be a bad word of some kind. But it's so interesting that, like, I wonder if some people, some executives, it just went over their head. Like, oh, that's a Japanese word? What does it mean? It means crud. Oh, okay. Right?
We'll leave it in.
So, yeah, we're good. And they're like, okay, snuck that one through. But, so looking at, oh, God, I haven't erased some of my notes yet as we're going through, so I just looked through. I'm like, so what haven't I said? Teen Fight Club! All right, talked about that. What is it? I want to mention... Oh, yeah. So it was very weird to me having Casey see Raphael in that way with the binoculars, because I sat there and I was like, so half of New York can see you? Why are you doing this during the day? Because, like, the Turtles went out. Oh, please?
What?
What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, yeah, I have to agree with you on that. And that's one thing I think that 2014 has a bit of the edge over.
Yes, the only time that the Turtles went out in the comics. First of all, they didn't go out until Shredder was taken. When Splinter was taken. Once Splinter was taken, it was like, okay, yeah, we should probably like get out and because they wanted to go to they want to go to April's apartment. All the movies are coming together. Everything's becoming one universe. A reference to the podcast we're doing next week, which is The Dark Knight. So just going for that Ninja Turtle sequel. Anyway, but yes, so we, what is it called? So going to April's apartment, right? And it was only done at night, right? Even searching for Splinter was done at night because they wanted to, they're ninja, under the guise of shadows. So having that happen, not in the middle of the day, but like during sundown, I guess, it was a little awkward. Oh, by the way, right? The scene where, what was it? The scene where Raphael was getting beaten up by the Foot.
Yeah.
Right? Very interesting scene because that scene actually happened in the comics with Leonardo. Because what happens is, about, like, I think, I was just reading some of this issue, so I'm a little hazy here, but it was issue 11, after, like, all this other crazy stuff that happens in between killing Shredder and Shredder being dead. Shredder's not dead! So he comes back with a vengeance, and there was a micro issue where I believe it was Leonardo's micro issue, where I forgot exactly what he was doing, but he was doing some really interesting stuff, and basically he ends up just getting beaten up by the Foot, and then they find him in the beginning of the next issue, like, wait, what happened? And he's like, it was the Shredder. And it was a big fucking reveal. So it was really interesting. And so it's interesting they adapted that here, but of course Shredder's not dead yet. So it's just kind of like, we'll beat up Raphael for a bit. Also, I love just the juxtaposition of both. Just, he loves stairs. Shit like that.
Yeah.
Ow, 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 ow. It was beautiful. Also, the fight scene itself, by the way, right? Like that whole fight scene, like just in the apartment and everything. Forgot how extensive it was.
Yeah.
Like, it was so fucking good. Like, I loved it a lot.
Oh,
so,
definitely.
Yeah, like stuff like that. Again, I mentioned earlier what I'm a fan of. So it definitely translates very well in this movie. I think having hand-to-hand combat without a lot of like CGI or other effects. I don't want to say mucking it up because again, I'm not going to sit here and say that I hate CGI. I mean, I love Pacific Rim, but I think I was a really big fan of hand-to-hand combat here. Also, of them using their weapons as well. Definitely something major in my opinion. Also, the Volkswagen, by the way, that they had.
Yeah.
Love the Volkswagen. And I say that because it's the same color as it was in the comic. And it isn't as tricked out as, like, I understand that even me when I first watched it, I was like, oh, it doesn't look like the 80s one did. Well, yeah, but I think it would be pretty out there to just, especially, near their first, like, outing with it, to just be like, yeah, we already modified all of it.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's like, yeah, I'm kind of happy that it was just the standard Volkswagen, because, again, they use that a lot in the comics as well.
Mm.
Yes. So, I want to say that we've talked about Splinter before. We were making the joke about Splinter being someone's alter ego. But all jokes aside, though, I love him a lot. Because even when Splinter's just beaten down, right, he still helps Danny.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed this scene a lot. And I think it should start our new hashtag, hashtag better than Pa Kent. Now, now, I'm not a big fan of hashtags, but I think this is the time that we bust out better than Pa Kent, because let's be real here.
Right.
No, because you know what? We did Man of Steel, right? Then we did Batman Begins, and we're seeing Alfred, and we're like, hashtag better than Pa Kent. But we didn't have the hashtag. We just said, like, man, I wanted to be hashtag better than Pa, but I don't know if that. I was like, no,
is this going to be your fucking it's an imperfect world thing? Is this your version of that?
No, because this is positive, I guess.
Where next week, when we discuss Dark Knight, so we're going to talk about the Joker, who we should also hashtag better than Pa fucking Kent.
I'll try to remember that. It's not in there. It's just better than Pa Kent. We don't know his no. Anyway, but Man of Steel did not go through that, even though I'm sure there's an extended scene that they tried. So anyway, okay. So I love that April's an artist, by the way. Like, that means a lot, and let me explain why. So there was no April's dad, at least from what I remember, in the comics. However, the man that lived downstairs was actually a reference to Stan Ditko, because they were huge fans of him. So they actually had an issue where Donatello met him, not Ditko, but like met the guy that this random character that was based off of him, who was an artist. And this artist, right, actually had this gem, like it was an alien gem that accidentally turned his creatures to life, because Ditko is known for making some really wild and crazy things in the Marvel universe. So literally, it was Donatello had to fight with this guy to fight these monsters in another world that he didn't accidentally create. Well, actually, no, he did, because he created these monsters and he didn't know where they went after a while, and they went to this imaginary world, and they fought in this war for like one issue to stop the fighting. And Donatello got out, and he was like, no, I need to save you. You come with me. He goes, no, I can't come through now. I'll save you. I'm okay here.
Quick question. This was in the comics, you said?
Yes. This is one issue.
No, I'm asking because there was an episode like that, but with a different artist.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, he lived in the same building, right? I didn't get as far as you did. He lived in the same building, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the reason why I bring it up is because, April has that artist, thing going on with her. And downstairs, that's where she was like, oh, it's my dad's storage. And he had, like, puppets and all this other, like, artsy stuff. So it's very interesting that, that they would kind of not necessarily adapt that, but kind of, like, give a little wink to that. And even have her, start drawing stuff a little bit later. I think it was just a nice way to, not I won't say tie certain things together because there's nothing really to tie together, but I think it was just a nice addition. That's what I'll say. It was a nice addition. Yes. The one thing I think they did that was a problem, and mind you, it's funny because we've just been going nonstop about how much we love it. One little problem. Raphael, I think, his problems, right, his whole oh, God, is Raphael going to be okay? It they sped through it a bit too quick. Now, I'm not saying I wanted 3 Ninja Turtles for the entire, I didn't want it to be like a freaking Three Stooges setup for the entire movie and for him to wake up at the end. But, I do think that it was sped up. It was oh no, is he going to be okay? And then maybe a paragraph of April dialogue later, which I loved her narration, by the way, but a paragraph of it later, it's just and he's fine. And then they train. And I was oh, okay. I was like, that was, you know what I mean? Like, that was pretty quick, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. So you said you liked Casey's character.
Yeah.
Right? I also enjoy Casey's character. However, we do have to admit, some of the stuff that he said to April was a little bit off.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, I do think at the same time though we're gonna say, well, it was off, like him like calling her toots and babe and stuff like that. He doesn't know any better. Not that ignorance is, you're exempt from like things like the law because of ignorance, but he didn't know any better and he needs to be taught better.
Yeah.
Right? But so I mean, and the one thing I do have to say though, we're not at the end just yet, but I do want to mention their quote unquote love story I think was pretty bad.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I actually could have done without it on the whole.
I'm sorry, say that again?
I could have done without it on the whole.
Yes. Now, had it transferred to the next movie, I think that's the problem with a lot of movies and quote-unquote love stories. Unless it's about the love story, and even then it feels like sometimes it can be rushed and forced. But unless it's about the love story, most of the time, love stories just don't normally work in superhero films if it's all in one movie. You have it over 2-3 movies, you have a great love story, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Or you can potentially. Sorry, you can potentially have a great love story. The one other thing that we mentioned that was both. This is both a Casey not understanding things moment, and also very much like, yeah, this is 1990. You can only do this here. And I'm not saying that we want this done today, but the scene where it's just like, oh, you're claustrophobic. Hey, never even looked at a guy. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sakes, Casey.
Yeah.
For fuck's sake. Casey, what are you doing?
Oh,
my response is, I wonder what Amel's going to do with that. Oh, good God. But, just good God. I love Casey's reaction. Speaking of some good things for Casey, right? Because we don't want to shut on him for the entire. Because I mean, look, he's a great fighter. He was able to take down a ninja or rather a martial arts specialist in Tatsu, simply because Tatsu got overconfident and he had his own, he had his advantage in the fact that he just is very good with hockey sticks or general bat-like objects, I guess. But the one thing I want to mention that I really enjoyed is his reaction to Splinter. Like, he just stood there and thought, fuck it, the Turtles exist, fuck it. Like, that's just his reality right now. Like, why am I surprised?
Pretty much.
And it was like, correct, why are you surprised? But, what is it? I want to look over. Okay, so another thing I want to mention. So in the animated series, I forgot about this. Did they know who Shredder was?
If I remember correctly, it's been a while. Not at first. I do think eventually they find out.
Yes, because I'm pretty sure the comics knew. Mind you, they had to tell us a lot in the first issue. But I'm pretty sure they actually knew in the comics, because the idea is, yes, Hamato Yoshi, Hamato Yoshi and Orokusaki, that was all there, but it's like, and now he is the Shredder, That is who you must kill. Go kill him. Kill him, my children. Like, that was literally fucking, seriously, get my revenge on him. And it was like, oh, buddy, whoa, like, Splinter trying to fucking one-up Batman here.
Trying to one-up Hawkins.
Years before Batman even had a family, Splinter had 4 orphan teenagers. Literally, Batman's like, yeah, well, mine were acrobats. Mine were turtles. Damn. Robin can't even swim. I can't do water. Shut up, Robin. He can do water. Imagine that, like, just 4 Robins, just like, I can't swim. Shut up, all of you can swim. Like, though, to be fair, if you played the 90s Teenage Ninja Turtles video games, apparently you also can't swim. Anyway, so, let me see, where are we? Yeah, so they did know who he was. Interesting that they didn't, but I think it was a nice way to tie everything together. And while I do So how do you feel about Splinter getting the last blow and, beating Shredder? How did you feel about that?
I liked it. I mean, it felt very 90s to me.
And how it was done? Like, it was very much like just a quick finish?
Yeah, quick finish. The hero gets the last blow.
Well, because hero getting the last blow, I think that seems normal, for hero films, in my opinion, because, usually the heroes win. But it felt 90s in the way, and I agree with you, in the way that it was like, how are we going to end this really cool, how are we going to end a cool climactic battle? Oh, anticlimactically. Got it.
Yeah.
The way I feel about it is it makes sense, right? I feel like it closes his arc, and I really do like it. But I do think it undermined the Turtles a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Because, I will admit, though, in the comic, Splinter wasn't even there, so it was kind of sad when they, quote-unquote, killed Shredder the first time. But, so I'm not saying he shouldn't be there, but the fact that Splinter was the one who did it was a little strange to me, I think. Again, it's nice because it's his revenge, but it's called it's the Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah.
It would be like, technically Ra's al Ghul is the one who, at least in Batman Begins, is the one who killed Bruce Wayne's parents. Proxy, but technically that's how it happened, right? So it would be like fucking Michael Caine popping up. I'm not going to save you, but I'm also not going to kill you. In Burma, I save no one. Literally fucking throws him off. Thank you, Alfred. I was in a lot of pain. Thank you. No problem, sir. Wouldn't have been fucking weird?
Yeah, honestly, after hearing it, I kind of fucking want to see it.
You just want to see Michael Caine do everything. You just want to see Michael Caine oh my God.
Michael Caine I'm just thinking is the entire Avengers lineup.
No, you want to know how I got these scars? No, but I know how you got these. He threw tea in my face. It's Alfred. He just throws tea.
It's like a utility belt full of cups of tea.
What was that?
His whole utility belt is full of cups full of tea.
Yes, there's a whole bunch of cups full of tea. But, by the way, I think it was very awkward how the end just tried to completely, hand wave away the fact that Casey just killed a man in cold blood. Now, I know it was Shredder.
Yeah.
But, my God, their way of just, going, yuck, yuck, with the way he just killed him. It's a little frightening. Mm-hmm. I want to say one thing, though. Very happy that Dan, the kid, Danny, I'm happy he didn't apologize, right? Because while I do think that he owes his dad an apology, I think that his dad owes him one, too, because he's a shitty parent.
Definitely.
I hate those movies that, it's like, I'm sorry that I did all those things, Dad. And it's like, oh, don't worry, I'm still going to be just as much of a shit as I was before. Thanks. I hate those movies so much because it's like his dad was pretty much an absentee dad while still somehow being around. Very hard feat, but it can happen. So it was, he really wasn't paying a lot of attention to Danny, and it sucked. So I was very happy to see him just be like, it's Dan now, and it's like, Dan, and have that nice little moment again right after Casey killing a man. But
whatever.
It's okay, it was really more of manslaughter, really. It wasn't.
If you want to get a little nitpicky about it.
Yeah, you want to get nitpicky about murder and everything, But, so yeah, talking about, while we wrap things up, talking about April and Casey. So you didn't like it?
No.
Why didn't you like it?
Pretty much, and I know we keep going back to this movie, and I kind of walked right into this one. What you said about Man of Steel with Lois and Clark.
What? Oh, good God. better than Clark and Lois. Hashtag
TMNT is the new Man of Steel. But yeah, pretty much.
Good God, these are too fucking long.
I know.
But go on.
Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. It just felt forced. I'm kind of wondering if they initially, when they were writing out the story, we're going to do this in the second one. And so, well, what if we don't get a second one? Maybe we should do it now. So I'm kind of wondering if they did it just because they didn't know if they would be able to do a follow-up with that story, and they wanted to get it told.
Right. The way I think of it is, it could be that, or it could just be one draft had it really fleshed out, and then this one didn't. Because it happens a lot, sadly. Like, one draft will have, like, what could be considered the best film ever. And then the next draft is just like, oh, how can we fuck that up completely? And it's done very, very poorly.
Yeah.
So it's a huge issue, you know, because, I mean, there's a chance that there was a draft that did it very well. But then it's just, oh, no, can we include this, this, and this? And mind you, I love the film that they presented. But this quote-unquote love story was pretty bad because Casey didn't learn anything. See, that's the thing. When someone, even if they're ignorant about, like, their sexism or their racism, whatever it might be, right, they have to learn. Like, hey, this is how you're supposed to act. So if Casey had learned, oh, man, I shouldn't say stuff like that. Boom. Now, I know it might be a little bit heavy-handed for a movie like this that was just mostly like, go, ninja, go. But, you know, then you don't have a love story like this where one of the guys is really, like, you know, ignorant in this way and is calling her toots and babes. And then all of a sudden she's like, just shut up and kiss me. It's like, ooh, that's a bad kind of, you know. I mean, yes, she's still in control in theory, but, like, why would you date a guy like that? You know, at least in this one. Again, in the second one, if he's nicer, kinder, I mean, it's in the same way where it's just like, you know, someone might go, why would Bulma date Vegeta? It's like, well, Vegeta mellowed the fuck out. And to be fair, that wasn't the best story ever, to be fair. But once they had the kid, he was really nice. Like, I know it might be like, Matt, he trained Trunks, you know, he was very, like, he was pushy. Yeah, but he was actually, like, a really kind dad. I mean, he sacrificed himself for his kids and for his wife and for the entire, like, he's a good guy. Okay? Now, Casey would sacrifice himself. Again, he started off as a vigilante, so it's not like he's a complete, like, not like Casey was, although in the comics, and even in this, you know, he was ready to kill the kids, though, in the beginning.
Yeah.
Which is something we should note. But still, he's a vigilante. He's more of a, you know, anti-hero. But still, in terms of the, you know, romance department, I do think it would have been better with some more depth if they could have. But, yeah. So, but overall, I mean, great film, right?
Definitely.
You know, like, yeah.
My favorite.
So, yeah, no, definitely my favorite as well. Out of the series, from what I remember. Again, we're going to have to go through, and it's funny because, you know, I said how much I disliked Batman Begins before watching Batman Begins, and then I watched it, and I began to like it.
Yay.
Dun, dun, dun. But, yes, so I really enjoyed this movie. I think it was # better than Pa Kent. What about you?
Oh, I think it was # Matt, go fuck yourself, and it was a really great movie.
I don't know if that should be a hashtag, and frankly, I don't want to see how much it's been used. But, oh, by the way, the rap at the end, right? The rap during the ending credits, so good. I think they should get Vanilla Ice for the next one, or even the one after that.
Oh, definitely. Get them for all of them.
Just get them for all of them. Good God.
Every single one.
Every single one. Well, we're at the end of our show. Tomorrow you should be seeing, you know, another one of our and a Saturday posts, right? Because today is Friday, tomorrow is Saturday. And next week we will be doing Batman the Dark Knight for another one of our Friday night movies. So, you know, we're very happy for you guys listening in. As always, just going to quickly mention that we have ourselves merchandise. So you can go on our website, cafepress.com/TGOTR merchandise, and buy some of our merchandise from our podcasts and from our Let's Plays. So our podcasts, by the way, you can find them on all of our social media accounts, which are facebook.com/TGOTR, facebook.com/Those Guys on the Radio. You can find our website, which is tumblr.com. No, wait. No, I'm losing everything. Oh, God. Help me, Anthony. Our Twitter is @ThoseGuysRadio. Our Instagram is /ThoseGuysOnTheRadio. And for the life of me, my website, why is our website? I do this. So we've gotten to 300-plus shows, Anthony. And for some reason, my website, like my brain is telling me you don't have a website. Shut the fuck up.
Maybe you should ask Pa Kent for help.
Good God, no. Oh, I hate you so much. I hate you, Pa Kent. I fucking hate Pa Kent. I have now decided I hate Pa Kent. But what I haven't decided is what our website is, apparently. But what I can tell you is what our Let's Play series and our YouTube series, well, or rather our Nerd News series that we have, both on YouTube, right? Our podcasts, Those Guys Play, which can be found on our YouTube channel, Those Guys Play, right? Our Let's Plays. And you can also find our podcast on YouTube by searching up Those Guys on the Radio on YouTube. And you can find our Nerd News show, which is called TG News, which we release on a weekly basis on our TG Productions account, or again through all of our social media accounts, as I mentioned earlier, our Facebook / Those Guys on the Radio, our Twitter @ Those Guys Radio, and our Instagram / Those Guys on the Radio, as well as you can also find our podcasts on iTunes, right, by searching up Those Guys. And life is fun, other than the fact that I can't find out what the hell our URL is. You ever have that moment, Anthony, when your brain just shuts down and you're really sad? Because you're doing this live. You're live. This is live right now, everybody. Hi, how you doing?
It doesn't help that I can't remember either, and I'm trying.
Those Guys on the Radio.tumblr.com.
Real stretch, wasn't it?
You know what it was? It's the .tumblr that always messes me up. But yeah, it's Those Guys on the Radio.tumblr.com. So it wasn't hard to figure out, but it was hard for my brain to put together, clearly. So either way, right, I know what I'm doing. I get paid for this, okay?
We're professionals, people.
Yeah, all right? I pay myself for this. So
it's
on the books,
job.
I get paid.
It's
It is
job, a part in my job to say that it's an imperfect world. We have to make imperfect choices. And
I'm a speech and debate coach. I have to talk to kids about how they should speech.
I guess not. End of show.
So we would like to thank you all, and we'd like to say that you should have a good night. See you tomorrow, and then see you next week. You too. Bye. Dude. Cowabunga, gnarly man, pizza, anchovies.
90s.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All right, I'm editing this show. Turtle.